just waiting for WhiteRa. WhiteRa is taking a quick commercial break. I'm not sure why WhiteRa is taking a commercial break. No, he was being very considerate. He was thinking I was taking a commercial break. Commercial break here, only 30 seconds long, so it's all good. Antigua Shipyard, GSL version, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. So, this version, for those of you who do not know, does not have the gold base in its cross positions only. It's becoming the preferred choice for a lot of tournaments. WhiteRa catching HayPro off guard with that first engagement there on dual sight. Unfortunate, because the Ever Chamber came down at the appropriate time, but the Spore Crawlers were not up. So, that is unfortunate there for HayPro. Sneaky little individual. I must apologize, by the way, for missing that pylon. It's, for some reason, the backdrop on that map with the team color made it almost impossible to see the pylon, since it wasn't on creep, so that was kind of annoying. Of course it wasn't on creep. Well, there you go. Whatever the case, HayPro, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, they've changed colors, haven't they? What the hell? Yeah, they've changed colors around. Hang on, I'm going to have to fix this up. Never mind. In fact, HayPro, you are now blue, and WhiteRa, you are now red. Everything's wonderful. I bring you LiquidHayprO. He is in the blue trunks, and he is playing Zerg to the west of the Antigua Shipyard, of course, in the cross position. There's the version, folks. Blue minerals in the center only. Versus his opponent, it's TtE.WhiteRa. He is in the red trunks, and he is playing Protoss to the east. Well, that was unfortunate, but Antigua Shipyard is very much a Zerg. I wouldn't say favored, but it's definitely favored by Zerg. It's a nice map for Zerg. There's nothing really wrong with that at all. It's a good choice there by HayPro. We'll see what WhiteRa decides to do. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being greedy on this map, and the reason that a lot of Zerg like it, well, it's one of the myriad of reasons, is that they can take a nice early third. It's an easy creep connect over here. No problems at all. You've even got the back rocks at the back, which give you a little bit of early warning as well if anything's coming in. Pool going down on 14 right here for HayPro. Doesn't want to risk it, because, of course, WhiteRa will cannon rush if he thinks he can get away with it. And he's not going to have the opportunity to put down a pylon to block anything here. WhiteRa hasn't built anything yet. This is most likely going to be a Nexus first here from WhiteRa, which is, of course, very, very greedy indeed. But he did throw in a bit of a spanner in the works in the first game on dual sight. So I suppose this is about the time where he can relax. Oh, it's going to be a Forge. Never mind. Forge directly followed by, it's a very late Forge actually on 17 supply, and it's going to put the Nexus down directly after that one. Now HayPro is going to see those timings almost immediately. The question is, can he do a lot to punish it? Not a huge amount. We'll see how many Lings he decides to build. He may try and force himself in there, do a little bit of pressure here and there. We'll find out shortly from him. He's currently maxed on supply, so he can't bring out any Zerglings. He's got the Queen on the way up as well. Overlord about to complete for him. And then we'll see how many Lings he builds. Of course, if he goes for more than 4, then he'll probably try to poke and prod just a little bit. But WhiteRa's going to be able to get the cannon down any moment now, so there's really no opportunity to go in there. If he'd had a slightly earlier pool, for instance, if he'd gone for an 11 pool, he might be able to poke in there and do some damage. But no, he played straight up. WhiteRa knew that, so he was able to put down that Forge really late, which is great. It's fantastic for his economy there. Gets his Nexus down a little bit earlier, makes his probe count nice and high. So, good bit of greedy play there by WhiteRa. I'm liking that very much. And that's most likely going to force HayPro to either do some kind of very aggressive 2-base bust or actually take the third incredibly fast there. So, we're going to see a fairly passive game for the next few minutes from these two. There we go. There's the third coming down right here for HayPro. Kind of to be expected, I suppose. There's some lounge jazz going on in the background. I think that fits the mood of this particular match thus far. Very chill back, very relaxed. You see the Overlord's got nowhere to go in a hurry. Just coasting around there. I can just imagine that Overlord is smoking jacket. Is that or it's terrible elevator music? I can't actually decide which. 2 gases up here for WhiteRa for the moment. Hasn't decided to take 2 more just yet. Just trying to saturate both of these mineral lines. He's got no real means to get rid of that Overlord yet. HayPro knows that, so HayPro gains full scouting information. Not that there's really a lot he can actually do with that. WhiteRa decides not to take a third. Generally speaking, you won't, because, of course, this wall-off is designed to protect this area. It leaves this area very exposed. Also creates an artificial choke point for your own forces, something to bear in mind. If your army's behind the wall and then tries to reinforce on the third, it tends to get stuck, which is not very pleasant. Lings on the way out. HayPro just looking to pick off this Zealot, which you will be able to do without too much of a problem. Zealot on its own will go and scout, confirm that the third is there, make sure there's no kind of antics going on from HayPro. No antics have been spotted. My antic detector is extremely potent, very well modernized, certainly better than the Protoss Overlord in Tree detector, that'll tell you for a fact. HayPro this time has decided to go very, very late on the gas here. I'm liking that a lot at this point. He can still kill the Zealot. He knows that there's nothing that will really... What's speed gonna do? That's not gonna help. He's not going to bust that with speed. That's not going to help at all. So he might as well just drone, and take that gas incredibly late. That's exactly what he's done. Not starting metabolic boost until after the 7-minute mark. Very laid-back play here by HayPro. Have to take his banjo and replace it with a saxophone at this rate. Robotics facility on the way up right here for WhiteRa on a single gateway. Doesn't necessarily mean anything yet. He has taken the third gas, but he hasn't decided to mine anything from it. 3 more gateways to follow it up, so pretty straight up. But HayPro actually manages to sneak a drone in there. Gets full scouting information on all of that. Well, he might be laid back, but he's also very slippery. All sorts of useful information acquired there. He sees everything. And HayPro knows that, well, there's 4 more gateways coming up, so the potential for pressure is there in the next couple of minutes, but for the time being, I just drone, and he's on 53 as a direct result of that. He's looking good right now. WhiteRa's starting to move out. Forward pylon going in there, so looking to try and secure a third, as you can see. Down it goes. A pylon there at the back as well. Just keep an eye on those back rocks. We have seen people sneak through those back rocks, and that's not a very nice thing to have happen to you. Immortal on the way up as well. A good choice considering it's going to be Roachling for the time being. The Lairs on the way up as well. Metabolic boost is now almost finally complete the 9-minute mark. Very, very late. And +1 melee attack coming in for HayPro as well. I kind of like that a lot. He spotted the Robo, so he's thinking it's going to be a Gateway and Immortal composition for the moment. So yeah, +1 is a great choice. Especially if his opponent hasn't gone mass upgrades, which he certainly hasn't yet. He's looking for +1 ground armor, so that's going to end up nullifying that. Going to be a bit of an arms race between these two, with WhiteRa being slightly ahead in that regard. But he knows that he's got to get a bit of an edge. And Warp Prism now on the way up for WhiteRa. This is where things start to get interesting. I'm liking the Overlord placement from HayPro right here. You'll see a Warp Prism coming down this direction. And another Ling run by. Surprisingly enough, WhiteRa allowing that to happen. Lots of scouting information will be gathered here. Will he see the Warp Prism? No, he won't. Gets it in the mineral line, does some damage, but it's easily cleaned up there by WhiteRa. Got a Lings here and they're just engaging, but the Warp Prism has not been spotted, and that's perhaps the most important thing. Now, let's see what he decides to do with that. In the meantime, it's Lings and Roaches coming up for HayPro. Roach speed on the way up as well. He's also taking a macro hatchery. Now, here we go. Warp Prism on the way, and unfortunately, the Overlord spread for HayPro up to the top here isn't so good. In fact, WhiteRa is probably aware of that because he's seeing all of these Overlords just hanging around here. He's not going to bypass an Overlord at all, so this is going to go completely unscouted. And the question is, how unpleasant is it going to be? Well, he's got Roaches ready to go, and he's got some Lings ready to go as well. He's going to have to respond pretty rapidly to this harassment here. In the meantime, a couple of Lings trying to poke their way through, and by a couple I mean about 10. But there you go. It's only going to be scouted at the last possible second. HayPro's going to react to this immediately. Immediately pulling everything off the mineral line, since he doesn't really have a choice in the matter, and all the things now being pulled back as well. Deployment coming at WhiteRa would, of course, be unwise to deploy here. I think he knows that. He doesn't want to warp in any more units at this point. The Zealots have been quickly dealt with, and now WhiteRa needs to get out. That's exactly what he's going to do. He'll get out of there without too much of a problem. He has delayed some mining time, done a little bit of harassment. Workers killed is only at 3, so it wasn't the best harassment in the world. It did force HayPro to pull back. It did force some mining time to begin, but I don't think that was necessarily a great trade. That said, he's on 3 bases, so throwing away 4 Zealots isn't really the biggest deal of all time. I don't think there's any need to overanalyze that. In the meantime, HayPro is moving across the map, as you can tell by the tense battle music. Economies of these guys are very equal. WhiteRa actually the slight lead in that respect. Now starting to pile on the pressure. Wants to work his way through these back rocks. Army size is looking pretty equal as well. Here we go. WhiteRa's going to have to try and get a good engagement right here, but he's got loads of sentries. Look at that. The force field count is going to be massive here. Should be able to split this force apart without any problem whatsoever. Yeah, HayPro's got to get out now. If HayPro sticks around, that army's going to be crushed. And he doesn't have a follow-up to it either. A couple of force fields deployed, however, HayPro gets away. Almost scot-free there, and he also takes his 4th through to the center of the map there. Spire on the way up for him as well. Still no sign of Colossus. We'll actually notice that WhiteRa is going Templar tech instead. Adding on Blink and 3 more gateways. Looking for +2 ground weapon. HayPro doesn't have a large enough army to deal with WhiteRa in the center right here, especially with that many, but he wants to pick off that destructible debris. It's at 15 HP. I suppose he's just going to charge for it. He almost went for it there. He really wants it. In the meantime, WhiteRa is prepared for yet another bit of Warp Prism harassment. Now, HayPro has wisely left a lot of forces in the base, so he knows that this Warp Prism hasn't been picked off yet, and he now picks it up with that Overlord, so he knows what's coming. Forces already immediately streaming back across the map, and there's really not a lot that WhiteRa can actually do here. This will be shut down almost immediately, and WhiteRa is going to need to get out of there. He knows that he shouldn't lose anything too much, but deploying a couple of Zealots just to do a little bit of damage here and there, WhiteRa is going to lose that Warp Prism unless he gets a big Warp in and kills the Queen. That Warp Prism is going to go down, and whoa, WhiteRa, what on earth? I don't even know what that was all about, but WhiteRa is actually using that as a distraction in order to charge in and snipe off the 4th. Was it worthwhile? Well, if he takes the 4th out, probably. That puts him in a lead economically. Shoot that bloody thing. There you go. All sorted out. No problems. But in the meantime, a counterattack coming in right here by HayPro, charging through, and he's going to try and hit that 3rd as well. But look at that. It's actually a nice little wall-off he's got there. It's going to be difficult to deal with. Blink Stalkers and plenty of sentries moving in to try and engage this numerically superior force right here of HayPro, but the upgrades suck right now for those Roaches. They really do. We've got 2-1 for WhiteRa, nothing on the Roaches. A lot of Infestors in the mix, though, so that might make the difference. How many High Templar on the field? There are 4, so feedback could end up happening on here. In fact, that's most likely what's going to end up happening with the Psystorm. He's going to be careful right there. There's a good fungal growth locking them down. Loses an Infestor in the process. The blink is not ideal. Another fungal across a wide angle there. 2 more Infestors picked off. And HayPro is finding himself trapped in a corner with really nothing he can do here. Being sliced to pieces right here by WhiteRa. All the Infestors sniped off. WhiteRa, excellent engagement here. And HayPro's going to have to back off. Very little damage done there by HayPro, and all of his Infestors lost as well. That is not a good start. In the meantime, we're going to try and get a Ling Surround and perhaps Run By into the natural expansion. It's exactly what he's going to go for, and how much damage will he be able to do? Oh, nice clutch warping right there by WhiteRa. He prevents all of those things getting in, except those ones. Most of those things getting in. Yes, most of them. There's a couple managed to somehow get their way through there. I think they ran between the legs. In the meantime, another Roach engagement right here by HayPro, trying to do some damage. Warp Prism with the 4 High Templar. Very smart move to keep those there, make sure they don't get picked off by anything. One Festus coming into the mix. WhiteRa taking some economic damage, and the Ling Run By has found very little, but my god, is that an efficient-looking base. WhiteRa does need to turn these into Warp Gates, but hey, it's a very nice-looking base right there. I'm impressed. Alright, boring the Roaches will not help under any respect. To be fair, those Roaches were pretty much dead anyway. HayPro now sitting on 138 supply, 176 right now for WhiteRa, looking good. Now, HayPro has killed a ton of workers, and as a result has equalized the economic situation. However, his supply count is looking really weak right now. WhiteRa is almost maxed out. And if WhiteRa were to decide to attack, he would probably win this. HayPro, I think, knows that, and is attempting to continue to harass and draw his opponent out. Keep him away from his base, but I don't think WhiteRa's going to fall for that. Good harassment moving in right there. Oh, and a nice fungal locks that down. Will it lose the 4 High Templar? It doesn't. So close. One more would have taken that out. That's huge, as that Warp Prism's full of storms right now. Talk about storming a teacup. Okay, here we go. WhiteRa getting really aggressive now, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of these Templar. Good damage done right there by the fungal growth, but WhiteRa's unit count is looking really scary right now. Oh, sick fungal. WhiteRa loses the majority. In fact, never mind, he actually got 3 on the ground before that went down. At least he takes the Warp Prism out. Feedback going off. All Infestors sniped. And a big storm going down at the front as well. HayPro looking in a really bad way, dropping below 100 supply. WhiteRa absolutely destroying the natural of HayPro at this point. In the meantime, we have had these run-bys that have done some significant damage to the economy. HayPro's killed 53 workers, and you know what? I don't think WhiteRa cares. Because WhiteRa's got this by the looks of it. GG, ladies and gentlemen. Despite some excellent Ling run-bys and damage done to WhiteRa's economy, he simply went for the trade there, and HayPro was not able to repulse it. So 2-0 right here in favor of WhiteRa, and HayPro on the back foot, looking to come back and make sure that he doesn't get clean sweeped. Alright, folks, we're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have Game 3 of HayPro versus WhiteRa.